Hey y'all, it's Alec with Sharing the Journey. If y'all been watching us for a while, you know that Cindy and I live full-time in a 2019 Tiffin open road, and we work camp our way across the country. Right now, we are work camping in South Carolina. It's been a few years since we've really spent any time in our home state. We spent most of our lives here in South Carolina, about 2 hours south in a little town of Eastover, South Carolina, from where we are now in Sellers, South Carolina. Well, today we're going to talk about 20 animals or insects in South Carolina that you have to be careful of, because some of them can be quite deadly and others can cause deadly reactions if you are allergic to their venom. Now, what brought this up is I have a friend of mine that is work camping about, I'd say about 2 hours and 15 minutes south of here, so closer to where we grew up. And he got bitten by a brown recluse spider while he was wearing some flip-flops working, which I've always advised people not to do. And you know, with the brown recluse, you don't really feel the bite. They don't have a sharp bite if you've ever been bitten by one, but they can cause the skin tissues around the bite to start to die and break down. And they can, after a few days, you are in a lot of pain. And you can have, if it's severe enough, you can have quite the allergic reaction that can cause death. So I was talking to his wife, and she was telling me about this, that she was sitting in the waiting room. Evidently he'd been bitten like 2 days before, and she was sitting in the waiting room at the hospital, because that is something you don't treat with over-the-counter type of medicines. So we'll put that on the list. And it reminded me of a few years ago when my wife and I were work camping down in the Low Country in Beaufort County, South Carolina. It was one of our first work camping jobs. We had a work camper that went underneath the owner's house to fix a leak, a plumbing repair that had to be done. And while he was down there, he saw a eastern diamondback rattlesnake, tried to get away from it. When he was getting away from it, somehow or another, he jammed himself up against something underneath the house, and he broke his arm. He ended up being bitten by the rattlesnake. And then, I guess on the way out or while he was down there, he got bitten by a brown recluse spider. So he had the triple whammy there. And I was starting to think about, you know, after my buddy got bitten by the spider in his work camping job last week, and then Cindy and I were talking about other things that's happened here in South Carolina, and I remembered about the triple whammy down in Beaufort County. I started thinking, what is there in South Carolina that we have to be scared of? We're going to be here for a while, and scared may be an overreaction, but that we need to be on the lookout for. And so I came up with 20 animals or insects that are in South Carolina that you have to be very, very aware of. Now, I'm sure every state has its own list. You know, when we were in Montana, there were bears and moose and all kinds of things that could kill you. But the things here in South Carolina are not quite as noticeable in most instances as a moose or a bear or something. So, top of the list for me, because I used to be an avid river fisherman down here, is the American alligator. And if you're down in like Hilton Head Island, people lose dogs and stuff as they're walking around the small ponds that are in that area to alligators. They just lay there, you walk by, they grab your dog and eat it and it's over and done with. So the American alligator is number 1, and I think one of the most common for number 2 is going to be the eastern diamondback rattlesnake. They're everywhere. When we had our farm down in Eastover, South Carolina, we had a fainting goat farm. There's a video, matter of fact, the first video on this, the first video on this channel is a news report from CBS, I think it was, or ABC. Anyway, they came and did like a 2.5 minute video on our farm and our fainting goats. I'll try to link it up here. But that's just a short little video, but it shows our farm and our animals. And anyway, when we would get hay and stuff, we had to be very careful. And we went out to the barn at night because we had lots of rattlesnakes in the area. Number 3 is going to be the copperhead snake. Very, very dangerous. And number 4 is the cottonmouth, also known as a water moccasin. They're very aggressive, very deadly, very dangerous. And then, believe it or not, for number 5, we have the black widow spiders here in South Carolina. And so you have to be very aware of them, especially the females. The females are the ones that can kill you. The males, not so much. Females get big. I have seen actually a black widow here in this campground that we're at up here in Sellers. Number 6 is the brown recluse spider. Like we talked about earlier, they can really do some damage to you. And coming in number 7 is the yellow jacket wasp. They can be quite aggressive. We have had ground wasp here in this campground. I think they've all been eradicated, but that was before I got here. But they get very angry and can do some real damage. And people don't really think about number 8 as being deadly, but you can have reactions, especially allergic reactions. If not treated, you could die from fire ants. I think South Carolina has more fire ants than the United States has people. It's unbelievable. I'm constantly treating the campground for ants. Let's see, number 9 is hornets, especially the European hornet. Very aggressive, and again, if you're allergic, then you could die from them. And they don't just hit you once and leave. They come at you like a wild pack and are very aggressive. Now, we have scorpions in South Carolina too, number 10. Now we have the regular, I just call them regular scorpions, and then we have the southern devil scorpion, which is not as fatal. But again, if you're allergic to stings, then you could definitely die from a scorpion. And then one that's not as common, or that I've only seen once, is number 11 is a southern black racer snake. And they're not really deadly, but they get big. And when I was a cop, I've seen people see them in the roadway or whatnot and swerve and try to move out of their way and whatnot and get in bad car accidents. People run from them. We had one here in the campground just last week that was, I'd say he was a good 5 feet long, and they can become aggressive if they're startled. So any snake to me is not a good snake. I know there are a lot of snake lovers out there, but I'm not one of them. Now, number 12, and we're close to the coast here, so this is the bull shark. It is also known to inhabit fresh water. It's mostly, I call it brackish water, but when I was looking them up, it's fresh water. They are probably the most dangerous of the sharks we have in this area due to their aggressive nature. But they come in river heads. They've caught them in rivers here in South Carolina. So if you're swimming in a river, you could come in contact with the bull shark. And this one, when my wife and I were talking about it, it's kind of made me chuckle. But when I looked it up, there have been known deaths from the brown-headed cowbird. Now they're all over the place, and the problem is they fly in very large, I guess, flocks, packs, I don't know what you call it, but they can be dangerous to aviation and farming areas. And I saw an account where somebody was attacked by a very large flock of cowbirds. Let's see, number 14 is the coyote. Now I've heard the coyotes here. They're normally shy away from humans, but if they get very hungry or feel threatened or cornered, they can kill you. And number 15, which we had one of these when we lived on our farm. We had one get stuck in our fenced yard area, and the only way to get it out was I had 5 acres fenced around the house, but was to go ahead and euthanize it. But and we turned it into bacon. So, but wild boar are extremely dangerous, especially the Russian wild boar that we have here with the big long tusk that come up out of their mouths. Very, very dangerous. Number 16, which it listed it when I was looking for dangerous and deadly animals in South Carolina, but I've never heard of anyone actually being killed by one, maybe if there's several together, and those are bobcats. Bobcats can be aggressive, and they can do a lot of damage. So I guess if you get attacked by one and you do not go get treatment, maybe you could die from infection or something like that. And number 17 is something that I am most scared of, and that is the alligator snapping turtle. They get huge, and they have a mouth that can do so much damage. You could really seriously get hurt from that. And then at number 18 is one that I've never seen. They do say they live here, but it's the eastern diamondback water snake. Now, when I was reading about them, I may not have thought I saw one, because supposedly they look a lot like the water moccasin and are often mistaken as a water moccasin. But the eastern diamondback water snake is very deadly. Number 19 is ticks. Ticks carry Lyme disease, and they carry Rocky Mountain spotted fever. Now, Cindy's been bitten by a tick, and we went through a period probably about 15 years ago where she had no energy. She was always feeling under the weather. We went to the doctor, and they said that she had Lyme disease. It was I don't know, her body didn't overreact to it. It was a very mild case, but she does have flare-ups from time to time to where the Lyme disease, which there's nothing that I know of that you can do about it. There's no medicine, and it just flares up and makes you very lethargic, maybe not the right word, but it keeps you tired and that sort of stuff, and it's not great. And then number 20, and we had one of these in our camper last time we came to South Carolina, is a wolf spider. A wolf spider can be very aggressive, and it can cause, because they jump up at you, you can injure yourself trying to get away from them when you're startled, or if you do get bitten by one, you can have a severe allergic reaction. And if you don't have, I guess, an EpiPen or something, then you could really, really be in danger of death. So I thought I'd put together this, I don't want to call it a fun list, But if you come camping in South Carolina, and we've been here for a month. Gosh, it's hard to believe we've been here for a month. And we've had 3 subscribers stop by. One not even from this area. They came all the way down from Virginia. I did a short the other day. We didn't even know they were coming until the day before. And unfortunately, we didn't get to spend as much time with them as I would have hoped. But yeah, you need to be prepared if you come to South Carolina, what to keep an eye out for. And so there's the list. Wish us luck. We're going to be here for a while. And I really don't want to have to deal with any of the problems that come from coming in contact with any of these animals. So I hope you found this video to be informative and fun. And we'll catch you on the next one. Y'all travel safe. Thanks.